Hello and welcome back to INMR, where in today's podcast I'm going to be talking about who I think are the top 10 most underrated players in the Premier League. Obviously, plenty of people are going to disagree with my top 10, so if you disagree, make sure you put in the comments who you think is the most underrated and which players you would swap out for somebody else. So let's get straight into it, and first up I've got Curtis Jones. He's blossomed into a really complete midfielder. You know, he's in a squad with Szoboszlai, who they bought in for 60 million. You thought that he'd come in and be a starter straight away, but Curtis Jones has taken his starting spot in that trio. He complements Alexis McAllister and Ryan Gravenberch so well. I saw a point on Twitter which I really liked, and it was about people maybe don't see Curtis Jones as that complete midfielder because they've watched him grow from that academy prospect into this now complete midfielder. It's the same reason why people still think Trent can't defend. He's actually been a lot better at defending for about 18 months, but because they've seen him in that Liverpool shirt right from when he was just coming into the squad and he wasn't great at defending, people still hold that stuff against him. Whereas a player like Alexis McAllister, you know, had his teething problems at Brighton or when he was back in Argentina, but Liverpool fans and Premier League fans don't necessarily latch onto that as much because now that he's in the Liverpool shirt and he's the finished product, people don't remember back to when he was in blue and white and maybe wasn't putting in these excellent performances every week. He made mistakes, but now you're not seeing it as much, and he's being fairly rated in my opinion. Whereas Curtis Jones, people are still thinking back to the times when he was making errors and causing Liverpool to slip up, that they're still holding that against him now. He's been really exciting to watch this season, and for the past 12 months or so he's been somebody that has come on leaps and bounds, and now that he's established, there really isn't a ceiling for how far he can go. In terms of the stats, he is in the top 2% or better in the Premier League for pass completion, tackles in the midfield third, shots blocked and touches. So that just shows, you know, there's quite a wide range of stats there that highlight his abilities going forwards and backwards, in and out of possession, just showing how well-rounded he is as a player. Next up, I've got Pape Sarr. He's been consistently solid this season at just 22 years old. He's improving fast and isn't getting enough credit. What's great about him is how dominant he is in the challenge, but he's also incredibly fast, mobile, but yeah, strong and powerful at the same time. He's becoming irreplaceable in that Tottenham midfield, and he's got a great strike on him too. I think Pape Sarr is what Tottenham fans thought Bissouma was going to be. When I'm describing him, it reminds me a lot of how I was describing Bissouma when he was at Brighton, but he's not quite reached that top form that we know he can get to in a Tottenham shirt, but Pape Sarr is doing just that. In the Premier League, he's in the top 10% or better for shot creating actions from a defensive action, so that highlights how well he's, you know, winning the ball back for his team and then immediately looks to go forward to create an opportunity for Tottenham to score. He's in the top 10% as well for goal creating actions, tackles in the midfield third, passes into the final third, carries into the final third, carrying distance and ball recoveries. So once again, a wide range of metrics there that highlight his abilities in and out of possession. And I think the key one there that stands out is his progressive carries and the distance in which he's carrying them. He's picking the ball up from deep, dropping in, receiving passes from the centre-backs and driving Tottenham forwards alone at times. Jamie Vardy is my next underrated player. I think people love to hate him, but it's hard to when he provides so much nostalgia for people in sort of my age bracket, 18 to 25. When it's not against your team, you just can't help but root for him, and he's come back to the Premier League with more than a bang. At 37 years old, to already have 5 goals and 2 assists is absolutely fantastic. And I think because he's older, people assume he's just in the squad because it's Leicester, but they're wrong. He guarantees you 10 plus goals a season, even at 37. If Leicester survive, he'll be the one that does it for them. He's such a key player, and I think, as I said, because of that age thing, people assume that he's just in the squad because it's Jamie Vardy and he provides a little bit of experience, a little bit of a presence in the changing room, but actually he is causing a huge impact on the pitch. This season, Jamie Vardy's goals have led to Leicester gaining 5 points, so think about where that would leave them on the Premier League table. If he hadn't scored the goals he had, they wouldn't have got those points against Tottenham and Crystal Palace. In terms of the stats, he's been extremely clinical. He's in the top 1% for goals per shot on target. So that just highlights once again, you know, if he's getting in good areas and he's getting a good shot away, more often than not, it's hitting the back of the net. But Jamie Vardy doesn't just score goals, he also is getting a bit creative as well. He's in the top 6% for goal creating actions, highlighting that, he can be the guy to lay a pass off, which obviously his 2 assists support that. And as well, he's in the top 5% for aerial duels won, so he can be that target man as well. If you need to play long, play a different style of football which maybe isn't so attractive, Leicester can hoof it long and he can bring it down, take somebody on, set someone else up, score himself, it doesn't matter. He really is the complete package. Even at 37, he's providing some key moments for Leicester this season. Nicholas Jackson had a poor season last year, but he's really stepped up this season, and I think his confidence has blossomed immensely. He's got 11 goals and assists in 13 Premier League matches, and he's come on loads, but because of last season's moments, he's not been acknowledged for what he's done this year. Yes, he got 17 goals last season, but a lot were tap-ins and his overall play wasn't great. Now though, he's in the top 15% for shot creating actions from take-ons, through balls, carrying distance. These are all things that aren't to do with his goal scoring ability, but actually what he's doing in the build up to other people's goals or even his own. He could start moves and end them at times, which we never saw from him last season. He's also in the top 19% for key passes, further highlighting his ability to sort of be that creative striker as well now. And most importantly, as a striker, as a Chelsea striker, he's got far more clinical. He's in the top 7% for shots on target, and this season is averaging a goal every 3.8 shots. Yoane Wissa had big boots to fill after Tony left, but he has done that and some. He scored 8 goals in the Prem this season and popped up in some key moments for Brentford. He's formed a lovely partnership with Mbeumo. He's in the top 2% for non-penalty goals this season. Goals per shot, passing distance, pass into the final third, goal creating actions, aerials won. He's in the top 2% for all of those. Once again, not just showing how well he does in front of goal, but that he likes to drop deep as well. His passing distance is super high for a striker, which is obviously because he is staying central. I've spoken about it in a previous podcast. He likes to stay within the width of the 18-yard box, but he's getting really deep when he does that. He might not be supporting out on the wings, but you can guarantee he's going to drop very deep to pick up the ball and then maybe play a pass out to the wings or drive it forward. Like I say, top 2% for passes into the final third. He's got to not be in that third, so that sort of puts in perspective how deep he must be getting in order to provide opportunities for other teammates. Brighton's Igor Julio has been fantastic as well. This season he hasn't been dispossessed. I'd originally thought about choosing Danny Welbeck, but the last few games Igor has really stepped up in Doug's absence, and it's made me think back to Igor's entire Brighton career since joining at the start of last season, and he has been excellent, and this season more than ever. When Dunk's out, you really notice who's going to step up, and Igor has done that superbly. Roberto De Zerbi didn't make too many good signings. Out of the 3, I think Igor's the only good one, obviously Dahoud and Ansu Fati being the other ones, but Igor has been excellent. He's a perfect Brighton centre-back. He creates from deep and always puts his body on the line. When compared to all centre-backs in the top 5 leagues in the last year, Igor ranks in the top 1% for successful take-ons and the top 5% for progressive carries and carries into the final third. He's also in the top 7% for pass completion, just highlighting how forward-thinking, composed and dominant he is. And as I said right at the start, not been dispossessed this whole season. If he's got the ball, it's not often that you see him lose it or even misplace his pass. He's somebody that, there's been years of Brighton having sort of these clumsy defenders that you don't trust when they're on the ball, but Igor certainly isn't one of those players. Next up, I've got Nusayr Mazraoui. I just think he's brilliant. He does as he's told. He'll play anywhere. Very versatile. Right back, left back, and even centre attacking midfield. He just cracks on and is always solid. He's played 20 games for United so far this season, and I can't think of one where he's been poor. Some people might say the Spurs game, but that was just a bad day out for everyone. But in terms of individually putting in a poor performance, Mazraoui hasn't had one yet, in my opinion, for United. His top ability for me is the way he wins the ball back so quickly. He's in the top 1% for tackles, top 8% for tackles won, and top 3% for tackles and interceptions per 90. And I think the one word that just describes him best is alert. If he loses that ball, chances are he's going to get it back immediately. If United need to transition and he needs to now make a lung-bursting run up the pitch, he's going to do it. He anticipates the game really well. He's in the position he needs to be in before it's happened. He's really intelligent. He reads the game so well, and he's just constantly on it. Going forward as well, he's got that creativity. He's in the top 12% for passes into the final third this season. Dwight McNeil has always been the shining light for Everton, so it would be unfair not to put him in this list. 3 goals and 3 assists this season in 12 matches. There's not often a lot that goes well for Everton, but when it does, McNeil's involved. Over the last 2 and a bit seasons, he's been key to their survival. He's in the top 10% and better in the league for passes into the penalty area, key passes, successful take-ons. These are all metrics that measure his creativity and superiority in front of goal compared to all of his teammates and actually a lot of other wingers in the league. He's also in the top 16% for shot creating actions. He creates 4.72 chances per 90 for teammates to get a shot off. There's not a lot more McNeil can do for Everton. I'm surprised that he hasn't been picked up by a bigger club just yet because he is a real threat going forward. This next one is going under the radar a bit because Crystal Palace are struggling, but I think Daniel Munoz is actually a really impressive fullback. He gets into advanced areas really well, and that's highlighted by him being in the top 6% for progressive passes received this season, and he's very dominant on the wings defensively as well. He's in the top 1% for tackles won and tackles and interceptions per 90. He's also in the top 3% for tackles in the final third. And what is really important with that metric is that it's clear he is the one preventing counter-attacks by counter-pressing if his teammates do lose the ball. The final underrated player for me is Matheus Cunha. This is similar to the Dwight McNeil and Daniel Munoz one in that they go slightly unnoticed because of the team they're playing in. You know, Wolves are underperforming and Cunha is due a big club move. 10 goals and assists this season in the Premier League. He has won games single-handedly at times. Wolves would have no shot at redemption this year if it wasn't for Cunha's magic. He scored the most non-penalty goals and is in the top 10% for carries into the final third, so not only is he providing the key moments himself, but he's getting himself into areas where he can set up teammates to go and do the same thing. Out of possession, he's on it as well. He's in the top 14% for interceptions amongst Premier League strikers. And as I mentioned before, he's highly involved in the build-up, and there's 3 key metrics that highlight that. He's in the top 14% for through balls, top 12% for shot creating actions from take-ons, and he averages 1.86 key passes per 90. Like I say, if something happens to Cunha, he gets injured for a long time out, Wolves are going to really struggle. He is at the heart of everything that goes well for Wolves. So they are the top 10 players that I think are underrated in the Premier League. Like I said before, make sure you comment if you disagree with any of these and let me know who you would switch the player out for. That is where I'm going to end today's podcast, but there are plenty of others you can go and listen to. For more content, be sure to check out my website, that's inmrfootball.co.uk. On there you can find match reports, live blogs, club updates and so much more. And if that's not enough, INMR is also on Instagram and X, so you can follow me on both of those platforms for more daily football content. Thank you very much for listening, and I will see you in the next one.